This year is going to be somewhat pivotal for us in homeschooling because I have a 5th grader going into 6th grade. He has officially outgrown reading lessons, and even though we're going to continue handwriting, I knew I needed something deeper for him. So with his help, we chose a new curriculum, and I'm so excited to share it with you today. Hi guys, my name is Livy. I am a homeschool mom to 2 amazing kids and the founder of Daisy Chain Principles, where I create video content to help you make your homeschool routine more beautiful, functional, and effective. This video is in collaboration with Davine from Calm in the Chaos Homeschool, as well as Shauna from Homegrown Homeschool. If you want to see more curriculum reveals from amazing homeschool moms, be sure to click the playlist linked below. Today, I'm going to be going over my language art choices for my kids this coming 2025 through 2026 homeschool year. Now, I've done the same thing for my kids for years. We've always done all about reading and handwriting without tears. My daughter is going into 3rd grade and she will still be using both of those for her language arts only. Both of my kids are a little bit late bloomers in the reading department. I don't have any problem with that, but my son has become a fairly advanced reader now, and he's finished the 4th and final level of All About Reading. I actually gave my son the choice of doing a significantly less structured school where I just require him to read so much material from the local library without any formal lessons for language arts. Or I showed him the other curriculum I was thinking of, and I thought for sure he would go with choosing books from the library. He surprised me, he didn't. He wants to go deeper into a curriculum. So we are going with Gather Round Homeschool. If you are familiar with Gather Round, you already know it is a unit study, and it covers absolutely every topic for every grade all the way through high school except math. For those of you who are not familiar with Gather Round Homeschool, here is how it's structured. There is a teacher guide where you read aloud that day's lesson to all of your kids. Then you break out into individual lessons, and the kids will each have their own individual workbook for their grade. So for example, we're going to be doing 1 unit study on the Middle Ages. Now, I'm not including my daughter in this curriculum yet, but let's say that I was, because in the future I will. She would have her 3rd grade workbook, and he would have his 6th grade workbook. And so they would each cover geography, language arts, science, all the things except math in about 40 minutes of work in their individual student notebook. And we would all be studying the same thing, but it would be easier for me to teach in that way at the same time they have workbooks for their individual grades. Now, this is designed with large families in mind because obviously it's incredibly challenging for a parent with multiple children at multiple grades to give them all the individual attention they need. So this is a way of mainstreaming, becoming a 1-room school again for the family. However, lots of people with only 1 child do this curriculum and love it. So don't think you have to be a large family to use it. I'm only homeschooling my oldest with it this year, and then in 2 or 3 years, they will both be doing it. The full unit studies are designed to last about 6 weeks. I am not trying to fill out the full 36-week school year with these unit studies. I have just learned that I want lots of leeway for the kids. They're starting to get into sports, a lot of extracurriculars, entrepreneurship, asking to hike and go on trips to places that we read about in our curriculum. What is the use in being so inspired by learning if you're not going to go out and then live it and then go see these things? We are only doing 5 of these unit studies this year, and they will be Middle Ages, Europe, Artists, Space, and Vikings. Why did I choose these? I choose unit studies loosely based off of the classical cycles. I think this year is cycle 2, and in cycle 2 they study like Beethoven and Mozart for art, so that's why I'm doing the artist unit. They study outer space for science. They study primarily the Middle Ages and Europe for geography and history. So I have some sort of direction, some sort of goal, so that history and geography especially aren't totally random. I'm just going to briefly go over each unit study we're doing, show you a few sample pages, and then share what we're going to be doing kind of to complement the study, such as a video and or read aloud book. Here are some example pages from the teacher's guide for the Middle Ages. I want to note here that I'm not super confident about moving my son straight into the middle school workbook, just because we haven't really done any formal lessons for grammar. And so I'm worried it might be a little bit too advanced because all we've done is read books all the time. That being said, I'm going to put him in the upper elementary for the first 2 unit studies that we do. And then the last 3, I'll move him up into the middle school workbook. So let's take a look at the upper elementary workbook for Middle Ages. To go along with this unit study, we will be watching the movie Timeline, which is a movie I love from my childhood. It is historical fiction set in the Middle Ages and totally clean and appropriate. Highly recommend. Lots of fun to watch. We will also be reading Catherine Called Birdie. I know this is a Newbery Honor book. I don't really know a lot about it other than that it is also set in the Middle Ages. We will be reading that out loud as a family. I'll also be reading out loud as a family from the teacher guide. So even though I'm not having my daughter do the workbook yet, she will still be getting the history read aloud side of it. Next up, here are some sample pages from the Europe unit study. As well as some sample pages from the Europe Upper Elementary Workbook. We will be doing one read aloud book to go along with the Europe unit study, and that will be Heidi. I read the classic book Heidi when I was about 11 and absolutely loved it, but I haven't tried reading much classic literature to my kids yet, so I'm hoping that they enjoy it. Next up, we have a unit study on artists. Here are some sample pages from the teacher guide. Now from here, I will be having my son do the middle school workbook. So here are some sample pages for that. To complement this unit study, we will be reading aloud from the Who Was series, specifically Who Was Mozart. We will also be watching the movie Copying Beethoven. I've never seen this before, and I will probably watch it before I show it to the kids. I think there is a little bit of mature content in it, so heads up. Next up, here are some sample pages for the unit study for space. And some sample pages of the middle school workbook for the students. To complement this study, I wanted to read War of the Worlds. However, I think the actual classic book will be a little bit overwhelming, both in length and just maturity. I don't think they'll enjoy it. There is a series called Classic Starts that makes a simpler version of classical books more suitable for kids. So we will be reading aloud the Classic Starts version of War of the Worlds, as well as watching the War of the Worlds movie as a family. There's a little bit of mature content. It's not really bad in my opinion in War of the Worlds, so you'll have to decide if you're okay with your kids watching it. And last but not least, Vikings is our last unit study. Me and my son are both really excited for this one. I never learned about Vikings personally, and I'm just really curious to see what we will learn together. Here are some sample pages from the teacher guide. Here are some sample pages from the middle school student workbook. To complement this study, we will be reading Viking Tales by Jenny Hall. I can't tell for sure looking online, but I think this might be like a really thick book of stories. I don't know. Maybe you know and can share in the comments. But if it's terribly long and is going to interfere with being done by the end of, whenever we want to be done with our curriculum or that unit study, we may just pick and choose which stories to read from this book and keep it on hand for future use. We will also be watching How to Train Your Dragon. There are totally free book lists to go along with every Gather Round unit study on their website. I think under resources, you just have to make a free account on there to see it. That is how I came across all these books. As I mentioned before, my daughter will still be in All About Reading. I am crazy about this program. It's made for dyslexic kids, and my kids have not been officially diagnosed with dyslexia, but I have definitely noticed what I think might be dyslexic symptoms in both of them, which explains why this is the curriculum that finally clicked for both of them. She will be going into level 2 of All About Reading. They do mix in a little bit of spelling and grammar in the reading lessons, and she will continue in Handwriting Without Tears. I am crazy about Handwriting Without Tears because we get results from it so quickly. I will be keeping my kids in handwriting for a little while and paying attention more than the school system probably would. I think we typically stop handwriting at 4th grade. I think that's a little early because handwriting regression is just so common. And that is our entire plan for language arts this year. I hope that this inspired you to start looking through different curriculum. I think unit studies are a beautiful idea. I've just never tried them before. And Lord willing, this will be super successful and we will be able to finish a primarily unit study approach to our homeschool all the way through high school. Right now, that's my intention. Remember to check out the playlist for this collaboration linked below to see lots more curriculum reveal. And I will see you guys next time. Happy homeschooling.